Hey guys, welcome back for another Trick Tip Tuesday. And for today's tip, I'm going to be talking to you guys about some of the most used items around the shop that I use. It's a common question, you know, what's the most used tool that you have in your shop? What's the most used item? That sort of thing. And really, it's never really down to, let's say, maybe a specific machine. Yeah, I could probably pick out a bigger machine that's probably a more used machine than others, you know, that sort of thing. But when it comes down to just the most used things in the shop that I use on virtually every project, or you know, at least on a daily basis, I've kind of put together some things on the table here. So, for starters, you know, I use gloves whenever I'm working. So. Not all gloves are created equal, and there's different gloves for different purposes. So I've got TIG welding gloves. You could put both of these in that same pile, I suppose. But sometimes you just need a good glove to protect you from something, but a glove that's thinner, that you have a good amount of feel to, and that's what these types of gloves are good for. We've got these other gloves here that are kind of my general purpose fabrication glove. They're a little bit thicker, a little more protection on your hand that way. And then I always keep a box of just black nitrile gloves around, and I always go for the ones that are thicker. So I believe these are like an 8 mil thickness, something like that. Maybe 7. So anyway, go for a thicker glove because they last longer, and then obviously if you just barely catch an edge on something, they don't cut as easy, that sort of thing. And yeah, they're just used for different things. If you're working with something that's extra dirty, oily, that sort of thing, those work great for that. I have many pairs of safety glasses around the shop here, and it's because, you know, sometimes I'm working, I have them on, I take them off for a second, I do this, and then I walk over here, and next thing you know, it's where's your safety glasses? So I always have, whenever I buy safety glasses, I try to have a couple of them that I purchase at the same time, and that's because, especially if I find a pair that I like, and I really like them, I'll buy multiple. That way, you know, you never know. You accidentally drop them on the floor, put a big scratch in them, that sort of thing. You have another pair sitting there waiting that you can grab a hold of to use. So aside from that stuff, so probably the most used item, or you could say the two most used items in the shop for me is a 12-foot Stanley tape measure and a Sharpie, because whenever I'm measuring anything, so every project, whether it's tube work, sheet metal work, anything, I am measuring it out and marking a line on the project, you know, that I need. So between just regular Sharpies and a good tape measure, I've used many tape measures over the years, and the reason that I always go back to these little Stanley 12-foot tape measures is because they're metal. It's a metal body on them. You can drop these things, kick them, do all that kind of stuff, and they never seem to break apart. I've bought a lot of other nice tape measures that you know, spent good money on, and then you drop it, it's plastic, it cracks, it breaks. Next thing you know, you've got 12 or 16 feet of measuring tape flying out everywhere on the floor. So yeah, the Stanley 12-foot tape measure, that is by far the most used item, and I've probably over the last 16 plus years probably gone through, you know, only a handful of those, because they do last a long time, and usually the reason I end up replacing them is because the numbers end up wearing out on the tape. From there, always keep a good metal scribe tool, or an awl, whatever you want to call it, because sometimes the Sharpie is not going to be good enough for what you're marking, and you need to actually scribe a line in your part. So keep one of those around. Good straight edges are irreplaceable in a shop. So whether it's a shorter one, this one here is 18 inches, this one here is 36. Obviously the rulers off of a square are great. This is a 12-inch. I've got a 6-inch smaller one as well. If you look in my measuring drawer in my toolbox, you'd probably ask me why in the world I have so many straight edges, and it's because I feel like you just can never have enough, whether it's a different size or different width or different material, whatever, or even just the measurements that are on it. Some of these are just in inches, some of them have millimeters on them, or centimeters, that sort of thing. So good straight edges are hard to replace, and a good square. and something that you can trust and that you know is going to be square. And these squares I use all the time because you can obviously adjust them if you just need to measure out a certain length, that sort of thing, or if you are trying to get a square line to the edge, you can know that this thing's going to be square. Make sure you get yourself a good one of these. So from that, Clecos I use all the time and everything, sheet metal projects to hold things together. You know, they're real easy to just be able to drill that 1/8 inch hole and be able to hold things together. You don't have to necessarily put a bunch of Clecos in something to hold it together. Sometimes you just need 1 or 2 to be able to mock something up in place, get an idea for what something's looking like. But Clecos are an excellent, quick way of being able to hold something together that you can then remove and then put back together, remove, put back together while you're working your part, that sort of thing, until you're ready to either weld it on or move on to your next step. So Clecos are another one of those shop items that are used so commonly, almost on a daily basis. And the last thing is get yourself a pack of 1/8 inch drill bits. So 1/8 inch drill bits are kind of go through these like candy in a shop. I use these obviously if I'm drilling holes for Clecos, I use them all the time, but even just pilot hole drilling, that sort of thing. Having a good set of 1/8 inch bits that are going to last you a long time is good because you'll save money on them. But then I always buy them by the pack. These come in a 10 pack, so I always buy them by the pack because then I buy one of these and I don't have to buy them for quite a while after that. But 1/8 inch drill bits, like I said, I go through those all the time. So this would be a real basic assortment of things that I use heavily on a daily basis that are items that I feel are pretty irreplaceable in a metal shop. So hopefully this setup here will give you some ideas on things to include in your shop, or maybe some things that you need to purchase in the future. So thanks for watching this week's trick tip, and we'll see you in the next one.